guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Callie, and today I'm going to be doing a mix of anticipated reads along with everything that I have pre-ordered thus far for the rest of this year and into the very beginning of 2024. We are nearing the final quarter of 2023, so I still have a ton of books that I've pre-ordered, and one of the things that gave me this idea, I love doing anticipated read, but I got a pre-order in the mail earlier this week. So I ended up getting Fall of Ruin and Wrath by Jennifer Armentrout. This is her newest series, which is a adult romantasy series. So I honestly, that's all I know about it. I really like Jennifer Armentrout's writing style. I also really love her romance. Her fantasies are very easy to digest. This is actually a lot smaller than I anticipated. So really excited to read this. And this is the special Barnes & Noble edition. The other one that I got for September is Queen of Thieves and Chaos by K.A. Tucker. This is the third book in the Fate and Flame series, which I really thought was a trilogy. Turns out it's a quartet, but these keep getting chunkier and chunkier, so that's fun for me. I really like this. This is a portal fantasy with a ton of romance. K.A. Tucker is mainly known for her romance. I picked up this book after I binged her entire Simple Wild series because I loved her writing style, and I wanted to see if she could translate that into fantasy, and she definitely can. So we have this woman who is transported from her life after making a deal into the body of a murdering princess, about to be essentially executed for said crimes. She's got no idea what's going on, and she somehow has to convince this new prince, whatever, that like, hey, same body, not the same brain, please don't kill me. It's such a fascinating concept, and the way that the story has evolved is really well done and just a fun, wild, twisty-turny fantasy story. Those are the only two that I have for September that I've gotten, but I have one other pre-order for this month, and that is The Scarlet Veil by Shelby Mahurin. She's the author of the Serpent and Dove trilogy, which I absolutely adored. I'd probably classify it as new adult opposed to adult or young adult, very in the middle. So this one, I believe, is still within that same age group, and we are following the best friend of the female main character of Serpent and Dove. We are following Coco's story, who is a blood witch. So from what I understand, this has got some really dark, witchy vibes, vampire vibes. I'm really excited to see this world further expand because I loved Lou and Reed's story so much. It had a ton of depth. It was a fantastic story, and I always loved Coco, so I'm so excited to see where her story goes. Moving into October, the first one on my list I have is Wildfire by Hannah Grace. This is the companion sequel to Icebreaker. This is two camp counselors fall in love. Hannah Grace became an auto-buy romance author for me after Icebreaker. Icebreaker was her debut, and I devoured it. I devoured that book so much. So I'm really excited to see her go out of the sports romance because I think this one is not as sporty as Icebreaker was. So it handles really harsh topics very well, and she just has such an ease of writing style that I just fall into. Up next, I have The Lightstruck by Sunya. This is the sequel to The Darkening, which was a very dark young adult, new adult fantasy story. I really loved The Darkening. It was really cool and gritty and unique to the genre, which is very hard to come by nowadays. So I pre-ordered a matching copy to my Fairy Loot edition for The Lightstruck. Next I have King Agreed by Anna Huang. This is the third book in the Kings of Sin romance series. I love Anna Huang. I read her entire Twisted series, and I'm fully up to date on all of the Kings of Sin series. This one is a marriage in trouble. So she hasn't written anything, at least I've not read anything. She has like a different series that I've never really touched. I don't know if there's one in there, but this is, marriage in crisis. And he's like, came from nothing and is now this big Wolf of Wall Street kind of guy. And she's this heiress who was always meant to be a trophy wife but never really wanted that life, which is why she fell in love with Dom. So really intrigued as to why this is. or how this story is going to go, because it's all of the teasers have been fantastic, and Anna Huang really toes that line between a contemporary fluffy romance and a little bit dark romance. So really intrigued to see where this one toes that line. Last one I have for October is Two Twisted Crowns. This is the sequel to One Dark Window. You will notice most of these are sequels. I'd really like to pre-order sequels because then I don't buy duplicates of them. And I know that I'll read them. So Two Twisted Crowns is the sequel to One Dark Window, which is an adult fantasy story that I read earlier this year, late last year. Fell in love with it. Very dark, gothic fantasy with one of my favorite tropes, which is internal turmoil. We have a girl literally housing a monster inside of her as she tries to be a decent person, while also coming to terms with she is the monster is her kind of dichotomy. And I adored everything about this, and I'm so intrigued as to where this story is going to go. Moving into November, first one I have is Vengeance of the Pirate Queen. This is a spinoff that I never anticipated seeing. This is by Tricia Levenseller. This is a spinoff of Daughter of the Pirate Queen and Pirate King, Siren Queen. I always get them messed up. I love Tricia Levenseller. She's always been an autobiography author ever since I met her, and this is no different. I love her pirate duology. It is fun, adventurous, female Jack Sparrow on a page, which is everything I could have ever asked. I just can't find that same spunk and sass as I have in Tricia Levenseller's book, so I'm really excited to dive back into this world. I definitely need to refresh on the Pirate King duology before I jump into this one. The next one I pre-ordered. I actually placed a special pre-order for this specific book, and that is Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. This is the second book to Fourth Wing. I fell deep into the hype. I think about Fourth Wing multiple times a day. I am so obsessed with this book. It's not even funny. It has everything I love: dragons, romance, angst, a fantastic plot line. It's got mystery, it's got intrigue. It's supposed to be a 5-book series, so that hurt my soul a little bit, but whatever. Really excited to dive into this one. I after that cliffhanger of Fourth Wing, I need answers, and I'm hoping we get some. Next I have Check and Mate by Elle Hazelwood. I adore Elle Hazelwood. You're gonna hear me say that. I feel like I've been saying that a lot, but I adore all these authors. That's why I pre-order them. But Check and Mate is a young adult romance, so I'm intrigued to see how this goes. I'm not very big into young adult romance. I don't think the characters are teenagers. If they are, they're of the older teen, like 18, 19 age. I'm not entirely sure. But I'm trusting Elle Hazelwood's writing because I love it. I've loved every single book she has written. But this follows a romance between two rival master chess players. I play a little bit of chess. I know how to play it. I'm not good at it, but I do play it. So I'm really intrigued to see where this goes. I love her feminist STEM. Her entire backlog is fantastic. So really pumped to see what will be different if we're going to focus more on just the relationship, and that's what makes it YA, and just no smut, which is fine. As long as the content's good. Next I have A Fire in the Flesh by Jennifer Armentrout. This is the third book in the Shadow of the Ember series. I know it has a real name. I can't remember the name of it because it's from Blood and Ash. That's a whole series. This is the Shadow in the Ember series. This is book 3. I have only read A Shadow in the Ember. I've actually listened to it. I need to reread it so that I can read A Light in the Flame in anticipation for this book. But I know there's like a whole reading order, which is scaring me a little, because I did get the new Cass Point of View book. I pre-ordered that one as well. I pre-order most of JLA's books at this point in my life. She had like 3 come out this year, and it's wild. But yeah, so I need to like actually figure out what order I need to read all these books in before I dive into that. But I have pre-ordered it because all my editions must match. Next, I have Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. This is her new romance series. I have fully caught up on all things Lauren Asher now, which is her Dirty Air series and Dreamland Billionaire series. So this is a whole new one. And I think this is also a billionaire series, but a different type of billionaire. So really excited. I love her stories. She knows how to capture your heart, crush it, and then put it back together all nice and neatly, and I just love it. I adore her writing just so much. Next, I have another romance, and that is The Graham Effect by Elle Kennedy. This is following the daughter of Hannah and Garrett from The Deal. The Deal is one of those books that got me into the romance genre, so now that we are following their kid, I am so excited. I didn't know I needed this book until it was announced, and it came out of nowhere, but I am so here for it. Next, I pre-ordered Foxglove. I know this is technically out already, but I pre-ordered the Fairy Loot edition because I have Belladonna in the Fairy Loot edition. So this is a personification of death and a girl who just can't die, have a weird romance, and have to solve a mystery together. It's very gothic, it's very dark, and it's super atmospheric. And the whole death, all of the like weird things between death and her are so cool. Very Persephone Hades kind of feel for it. And it's just really fun to see their thing, because she'll just eat poison berries to go and talk to him, and he's like, you can't do that. You will die. And she's like, nah, it's fine. 'Tis but a flesh wound. And it's a whole mood, and I really adore it. The last one that I have for November, this book technically comes out in October, but I don't anticipate getting it until November, and that is Kaldoras by Lynette Noni. This is a epilogue story. It's going to have 6 short stories to her Arcane series, which I just finished in June or July. I love this series so much. It is a portal fantasy. It's like Harry Potter. It is so many things that I love about a good YA fantasy. It was just so good. The last 3 books had me in tears, and this epilogue collection, I'm so excited for. I actually pre-ordered this from a store in Australia so that mine can be personalized and signed by Lynette Noni, because she is Australian. So I'm really excited to get this book, and it was something I never expected once I finished Vardesia. I can never get it right. Vardesia ended phenomenally. I would have been so happy with that ending, and getting maybe like little short stories in newsletters for the rest of whatever. So the fact that we get this fun, cool epilogue book, which happens 4 years after the events of Vardesia, oh, I'm so excited for it. And for December, I only have 3. The first one being Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. Divine Rivals was one of my favorite books so far of this year. It was like a weird mix of historical and fantasy, and a magic typewriter between rival journalists. It was just so romantic. It was beautiful. The story is really cool and whimsical. It has this very like World War I type of feel to it, but it's like total fantasy. There's a war going on. That's a whole thing, but not anything of our world. So it was so atmospheric, and I was just sucked in so deep into this book. Again, very much like Fourth Wing, I think about it every day. Last year were also Fairy Loot editions that I have pre-ordered. First one being Her Radiant Curse, which again, I know is technically already out, but I don't anticipate getting it until December, which this is by Elizabeth Lim. This is I think it's a spin-off series of 6 Crimson Crows, right? 6 Crimson Cranes. 6 Crimson Cranes. I know the second one's A Dragon's Promise, but I have most of Elizabeth Lim's books in the Fairy Loot edition, so when I saw this one that they were offering, I was like, well, add to cart. Say less. I love Elizabeth Lim. She writes really fantastic Asian mythology-inspired stories. I think I have yet to give her books anything less than 4.5 stars. Her world building, her mythos, her character development, and her plot lines, everything's perfection in my mind. I think the one book that I didn't give 5 stars for her was the book she wrote for the Twisted series, which I think was the Cinderella one. And I typically hate Cinderella, and I still gave it 4.5 stars. So that's saying something. And the last one for December that I have, again, this comes out technically next month, but I'm not getting it until December, and that is A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. This is the 3rd book, and I want to say the final book, but I've been burned before. of the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, which is a spin-off series of the Caraval series, which we are following essentially a live iteration of a tarot card as he decides to raise chaos in the world and then accidentally fall in love with this pink-haired nymph lady. I read book 1, gave it 5 stars. It was fantastic. I am planning on rereading them. I have both books 1 and 2. I have yet to read book 2 because I heard it ended on an awful cliffhanger, and I figured I'll just wait because I know the Fairy Loot editions all come late anyway, because I think I got Broken True Love, Curse for True Love's the third one. Something About a Broken Heart, I think, is book 2. I don't remember. I own it. But it showed up really late because of, I believe that one fell into the delays caused by the Suez Canal issues. So I got that one super late. By the time I got it, I was like, I'll just wait until Curse comes out, and then I'll just binge it. It's what I did with the Serpent and Dove series. Because everything kept coming so late, I was like, I'll wait, and then I'll binge it. And that's typically the way that it goes. And with a ton of these pre-orders, I do have a handful for next year. So for January, I have 2. I have Destroy the Day, which is the 3rd book in the Defy the Night. God, they're all like the same weird formula. Defy the Night by Brigid Kemmerer. Brigid Kemmerer is another author. Again, most of these authors are ones that I will auto-buy for or always pre-order for. But this is the final book in that series. I haven't read book 2 because, again, by the time I got book 2, it was already a thing, and I have no excuse. I'm just going to binge it. So, but I do have that one up for pre-order. The other one I have up for pre-order in January should come to no shock to anyone, and that is House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. I will actually be on vacation for this, so I'm actually going to pre-order. So I'm pre-ordering that physical copy, which the physical copies never show up the day that the books drop. It's always like these 2 books came out like a week and a half ago and I just got them. So by the time I get home, I'll probably have the copy, but I will fall into spoilers. So what I'll probably end up doing is downloading it on my Kindle and reading it on my Kindle while on vacation. So, which is fine, because Lord knows I have always had multiple copies of Sarah J. Maas books. You can't see it, but I have a whole Sarah J. Maas shelf way up there, because I have no chill. For February, I have The Prisoner's Throne by Holly Black. This is book 2 in the Stolen Heir series, which is a spin-off of the Cruel Prince series. Lots of spin-offs. I'm kind of, like, this is wild with how many spin-offs that have happened. But I mean, like, I love these worlds, and I'm not going to complain about it. So it's the 2nd book in that series. I also have A Vicious Game by Melissa Blair. So the 3rd book in her Halfling saga. I've been loving this saga. She's a fantastic indie author, and I will happily support her. I'm loving it. It is an adult fantasy series that it ticks all the boxes that I want. And the last one for February is All the Twisted Glory by Tahara Mafi. This is the 3rd book in the This Woven Kingdom series. Book 2 was kind of meh for me. Like, it was good, but it was not up to par with book 1. I gave 5 stars. So I'm really excited to see what book 3 has to offer. And the last one that I have. This book was actually supposed to come out in September, but it got pushed to March, and that is A Touch of Chaos by Scarlet St. Clair. This is the final book in the Hades and Persephone romance series. And I am so excited. There's a huge cliffhanger at the end of Touch of Malice. So I've actually already kind of set up a timeline for rereading this entire series so that I can get back on track. Game of Gods just came out. I did pre-order that. That came out in July. And I haven't read it yet because I'm going to try and do like one a month. So that's like 6 or 7 books up until March. They're not terribly big. And then get to A Game of Chaos or A Touch of Chaos. Game of is all the Hades one, Touch of is Persephone's. Whatever. But those are all the books that I have pre-ordered up until March of next year. I typically do the pre-orders when Barnes & Noble has the big sale. They'll have like a 25% off extra if you pre-order it. So they usually have that 2 or 3 times a year, and I'll just get a huge order. I like doing that for a few reasons. One, I can pre-order and then never think about it, and the books show up, and it's like a little gift from me to me. That, and they don't charge you until after it ships, which is kind of nice because it feels like a big purchase, but really it's spread out over the course of over a year. So that's going to be it for today's video. Please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. We post every Wednesday and Friday, and I'll see you guys in our next video. Bye!